Somehow I never expect that cold water. Good morning or afternoon, as the case may be. I'm Dorothy Wilhelm, and I want to welcome you to Swimming Upstream Radio Show. As always, we have exciting guests, interesting things that you never thought of. And you may say, why did I want to think of them? You'll be surprised, because today we have a genuine spy. Now, Swimming Upstream Radio Show is about meeting people you'd never meet on the 6 o'clock news. And it happened that last week I was in a long line waiting to see a doctor. And as I sometimes do when I'm waiting in a long line, I asked everybody else waiting to answer a question. And the question was, what's the most interesting job you ever had? Well, Jean Hughey, who is there with me, said that she had been a spy. She has been a spy, and we want to hear about it today. Jean, welcome. Glad to see you early in the Northwest morning.
Thanks.
So, and I know you haven't had breakfast yet, but oh well. Anyhow, so when you said you had been a spy, tell me what you meant.
Well, when I was working as a computer programmer for Amtrak in Washington, D.C., I was only 55 and I wasn't ready to retire. So my husband, who was the National Agricultural Engineer in D.C., he retired at 55. So I quit Amtrak, came out to Shelton, Washington with my husband, and I wasn't able to transfer my employment with Amtrak, so I started contracting with them as a spy on the trains.
Well, now I just don't believe that. I mean, I do believe what you're saying, but I did not even realize one contracts to be a spy.
Well, I was a independent consultant.
That's a
so
spy.
I had a contract with Amtrak. I wasn't an employee anymore. I had to quit my employment because I couldn't be a programmer anymore.
Well, how did it work? Did they call you up and tell you who you had to spy on, or what?
Well, they'd send me emails with the train I needed to ride and who I needed to spy on, and all the trips. Sometimes it was 2 or 3 trips in a day.
So now, how long ago would that have been?
Well, I was 60s, up to my 60s. I worked 6 years, from 2004 to 2009.
Well, now they would tell you what train to ride, but did they tell you who you were looking for, or just to see it went smoothly?
Yes, and it was usually the LSA, the lead service attendant in the cafe cars, is what I needed to check. What they sold, how much money they changed hands, and the time of the sale. Because they would check their records that the LSA gave them against my records to see if I recorded what they recorded.
And were there any, what we call incidents? Did anything exciting or interesting happen?
Oh, yeah. When I had to check on conductors, sometimes I wasn't even checking on them, but I did because I was there. They've thrown me off the train. Mama got thrown off the train.
Well, why did they throw a nice person like you? Why did they throw you off?
Yeah, why would they pick out an old lady? I know.
Exactly right.
Because they told me I had to pay cash for a ticket on the train.
And that wasn't right.
Well, you can, and Amtrak does do that, but if a conductor won't take your cash and let you on the train, then they're in the wrong and they get in trouble.
Well, was the whole thing, was it a surprise to you, or did it go together pretty easily?
Well, it wasn't a surprise as much as it was really hard.
How hard? Well, I wouldn't have thought that. Why was it hard?
I ended up making my own spreadsheets so I could record like the food and the time it was sold and all that, so I could record it easily without noticing, because I didn't want the other passengers or the LSA to notice.
So did you just pretend like you were reading or doing business of some sort or
Yes.
that?
I usually had like one of those find the word books or Sudoku, and I'd keep my spreadsheet in that, and then I'd fill it out as I was
And,
observing.
and did you wonder to yourself how you got into such a thing? Or
No, it was fun at first, and my husband went on my trips with me, and he would enjoy the trip, and I'd be working the whole time. But then when the trip was over, I'd have to go home and write up a report and fill out all my information and send it in to Amtrak. So,
well, and I said, but I imagine what comes to me right away is that it would have to be very, very accurate because otherwise, I mean, this is a person's job and career
yeah,
that you
well, yeah. And I'd gotten somebody fired, had to go to Amtrak court, which
oh
was,
my God, how did that happen?
well, he was putting the box over the register so people couldn't see what he rang up. And then he was pocketing a lot of money and selling water bottles that he brought on the train and weren't Amtrak approved,
You
things
know,
like that.
do
So,
you I think, I go back to the days on the train. Remember when the dining car was beautiful and elegant
mhm.
and all of that? Would they have had a spy on that one too? Or do
I
you
don't
think
know.
it,
Sometimes I did do the dining car, but mostly it was the cafe cars,
because
where you go to get a drink or a sandwich. That's mostly what they were checking on because I think a lot of money was not getting turned in.
and that was what they were looking for. Well, was there ever a day when you said to yourself, I think I'd like to rethink my career choice now?
Well, I didn't think of it as a career. It was just something fun to do after I quit working. So that's
Well,
what
now,
it was.
were you the only one? I mean, at least on the car at the time, like there wouldn't be more than one person.
Oh, no, as far as I know, I was the only one.
But of
Um,
course, they wouldn't want you to know. So,
yeah. And the East Coast, they had a lot of spotters. They called them spotters, not spies, but the East Coast had a lot of them, but they hadn't really done it on the West Coast much. So when I moved out west, I think I was probably one of the first ones to do it out here on the trains. So it
and
was kind of just a new thing.
around when was that?
In 2004, I think that's when I started that.
Well, to my surprise, after we talked, and I was wondering if people still, because I never heard of that, and so
Yeah, I don't know if they still do it or not.
well,
Yeah.
I don't know if they do, but I did find that there are at least 6 different companies who provide that service.
Oh, I
Uh,
didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't either, but there they are now. We don't know anything about them, and I didn't have time to call up and see. But still, that's interesting. I think that,
Yeah.
and they call the employee monitoring service.
Yeah. Well, and I guess a company needs to be careful, but some people I got in trouble and I didn't want to, and I felt bad about it, but
That was
you
what
have
you
to
were
be
there for.
honest. Yeah.
Well, what if someone were thinking of setting off in that field? What would you warn them of?
Well, not much warning as more as who to contact and how to find out what they're doing now.
Oh, well,
Um,
that's a good idea.
yeah, it was hard work though. I mean, it would be little pay for a lot of work because
So,
I got paid per trip, and my trips would entail lots of hours.
so would it be just one day, or would it be more than one?
Well, sometimes I had to do the sleeper cars and things like that. So a few times it was more than one day, but usually it was one day at a time.
Well, what if somebody were thinking of doing this, just as like you, for a part-time job or
Yeah.
something to fill in? What would you warn them of or encourage them to do?
Well, I think it's fun, and if I was younger, it'd probably be still fun. But it's hard work. You have to be accurate. You don't want to get somebody fired for no reason, you
At
know.
least for a reason, yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
when
though,
I
go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, when I started talking to him about this, I asked him if I could tell my friends and family, and they said, "Well, you're not James Bond, so you can do that." So I thought,
So your husband knew when he went with you, it wasn't that you had to keep quiet and speak
no, no,
some. And you know what? I've been thinking about it though. Is I think my mother did that too. Be back on the Great Northern many years ago, but you never know who will run into. When
yeah,
you Do you ever ride on the train anymore?
no, I don't, and I should, but I don't.
Well, I was
No,
just thinking that, you might write and know, you see something and you
yeah,
say, "Oh,
that's true. I should, but I haven't done that. No,
well,
yeah,
is there any new field that you're thinking of getting into since you pretty well used up the spying business?"
no, I'm 77 years old and I'm done working.
My dear child, I have kids your age.
I know, but that's okay. I don't have to work, so I don't want to work.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Let's have about one more. Let's have a vignette. Tell us a story about how you get on the train in the morning or when you would. What did you bring? What kind of equipment did you have to bring with you? And just take us through your day.
Well, sometimes I would have a camera, take pictures, something that I thought was, well, I wanted to remember if it didn't. Sometimes it went in my report, sometimes it didn't. But just my spreadsheet and my little cheat cheat book, whatever I was using to cover up my spreadsheet. But
Would you bring would it be, you said it'd be like a Sudoku book or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Just one of those kind of books you get in a dime store, just so that they saw me writing, but they didn't think I was writing, you
About,
know.
well,
Yeah.
now you write about it actually on the page on their Sudoku, like instead of a puzzle, you actually wrote on the page what was going on or what?
Well, sometimes, and I also gave a description and their name tags, things like that. I mean, one time a conductor was screaming at me for having a cash and not having a ticket, and I was just looking at him thinking, okay, you're this old and you're female or male and your name tag is this, and then as they're screaming at me, I'm thinking all that stuff. So
And you're thinking, and you'll be looking for work shortly.
well, I don't know. I only went to one that got fired, one court case, so I don't know.
Do they mostly, at the time at least, was it mostly just a warning or just that they wanted to know? Or as you say, it doesn't look like many people were actually fired. We
Well,
hope.
it's kind of like, Amtrak is kind of government
Yeah.
subsidized, so they're have to go by all the government rules of you can't fire anybody till you really get a lot of information about them. So, and that was kind of typical.
Well, now, what is the most important thing that you know now that you didn't know before you started doing all this?
The most important thing, I
Yeah,
don't know,
you.
just be observant. I mean, if somebody's cheating you, you want to know. But a lot of the passengers were nasty too.
Oh,
And
good.
that's,
Oh, that's fair.
well, they'd start yelling at you, or they'd yell at the LSAs because they didn't like what they bought and thought it was overpriced, and
It was overpriced. The thing is, on the train, everything is overpriced.
yeah. So if they're cheating you and getting more money than it's worth, then that's really bad. So yeah.
So, at some time, were you able to report that everything was going the way it should be?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would always, if they were good, I really wanted to give them credit and hope they got the credit. Yeah.
Now, when you were doing that, were people still riding? I'm sure they must have been on the riding on pass like employee passes and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. As an employee, I rode on employee passes myself on the
That's
East
amazing.
Coast. Yeah.
For
Yeah. It was,
well, for work or just for
oh
fun?
no, I would take a lot of nice trips, especially in the East Coast. Took the auto train down to Florida and things like that. It was nice. I loved it.
Well, that,
I
now
love
see,
trains.
isn't that funny? I love trains too. There's
Yeah.
some there's something about a train, and
Yeah.
they're just marvelous. Um, Even now, to me, trains just aren't a patch on what they were in the old days, you know. But I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. That's all.
Yeah.
But when I was a little girl, we traveled on a pass, and it was hideous because
Yeah.
the train people wanted you to know that it was a pass and that you were not going to have one speck of fun the whole
Oh,
way.
really?
Oh yeah, and we got on the train in Libby, Montana, and traveled from Libby to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Roseburg, Oregon.
Mm,
And so it took close to 2 days.
yeah. And
And
it probably wasn't Amtrak either, was it?
oh, no, mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, I think it was Great Northern.
Yeah.
Which is different. The big passenger lines or passenger freight lines were very different, I
Yeah.
think, track.
Well, and that was the problem too. So many times you were hours late. Sometimes we sat in the woods in the winter and it was snow and the train had to stop and had problems. And I mean, I think we spent 14 hours in the train in the winter. It was, and they have all kinds of problems. And then they had the, the oh, the trains that aren't passenger trains, the freight
Freight.
trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget words. But
So
anyhow, they got priority. So if they were going by, you had to wait for them, and it was they had the tracks. So Amtrak just
so Amtrak fills a different place, kind of.
yeah,
Uh, I remember when my husband and I were first married, we were traveling cross country, and we went on the train because we love trains, and there wasn't we couldn't afford a sleeper car, and so we sat up the whole way. And at
yeah.
one point, there was a derailment up ahead, and there were wolves circling. It was very exciting,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah. That happens a lot.
oh yeah,
And
especially up in the mountains, you know.
yeah,
Well, you're going to be surprised and delighted to know that we've about made our way through this interview. So before this, I want to thank you, Jean Hughey, for being here. And what I'd like to know 3 things that you would tell
okay,
people. I don't much care what it is. I would just like to know 3 things we don't know that you know that we should know.
okay.
Okay. Thing one.
What's that?
Well, I don't know. You're going to tell me. Tell me
Oh,
3 things that people should know about riding on the train and all.
about spying on a train or just riding on it?
I will give you either one, spying or riding.
Well, one thing is you can pay cash for any ticket you want to. That's not supposed to be something they won't let you do. I mean, if you forget to get a ticket in time and have to jump on the train, you're supposed to be able to pay cash for it.
Why do you
But
think they didn't want people paying cash?
I don't know. I don't know. It seems like the cash would be better to have, especially if you're going to steal or something.
Well,
But
yeah, you'd never know. But okay,
yeah,
that's a good one. Number two.
Number 2, bring your own snacks.
Very good. What snacks have you found best?
Oh, I don't know. I like the frappuccinos and stuff like that, but
Well, see, that's good. And
yeah,
number 3.
I don't. You're really you didn't give me time to prepare this. I don't
I
know.
know it. Isn't that just it's just miserable, but I love to surprise people. You are surprised, aren't you?
Well, it's fun to think about what I did. I reread a lot of my reports last night, and it was
Well,
kind of fun to relive all that.
what did you find that you had forgotten?
Not much. I guess it's just that it was tedious. The same thing, one trip after the next, and only one employee knew what I was doing and
And
called me on it.
and how did that one employee find out?
Well, just because he could tell what I was
Oh,
doing.
seen enough of
But
them. Yeah.
he was very good and very nice.
Well, that's good. See, now this has been very educational because none of
Yeah.
us knew anything about this. And now, if you have friends who would like to see this interview, it will be up very shortly at it's nevertoolate.com. That happens to be my website.
Yeah.
And you can just go and you can see Jean in person anytime.
Oh, and then I didn't even comb my hair. I don't know
You
what.
You look marvelous, darling. Anyway, lots of fun. Jean Hughey, this has been great. This has been the Swimming Upstream radio show. We do this every month, so there's a new show every week. This is quite good. And
Oh,
so they'll be coming by to see you, and you can go by and see you. We
oh,
are
lucky me.
we
Okay.
try we try to do exciting and wonderful things. Why not? And this has been a production of the what is it, lady? I can't even remember. Um, See, this is what happens when you get old, Jean. You already said that, but we will be on next week. This week will be our show with Jean. Next week will be Generation Gap with and Ray Still and our very own Jason Walls. So until next time, this is Dorothy Wilhelm saying goodbye. Say goodbye, Jean.
Goodbye. Thanks, Dorothy.
Goodbye, Jean.